and press and go live.
Do it.
Hey everyone! Thanks for joining us for a Life Money U live event, Breaking Up with Bad Money Habits. I'm Danny, Program Manager, here along with Aaron and Sam, our financial coaches. And if you're new here, welcome. We're Life Money U, a free financial well-being program designed to grow your expertise of financial well-being and goals at the forefront using digital tools and one-on-one coaching. Over the next half hour here, we're going to be sharing stories about automating money and how you can break up with costly habits like overdraws, sporadic spending, and late payments. The remaining 15 minutes will be for your questions, so remember to use the chat. And if we don't get to them during the conversation, we'll definitely get to them at the end of our discussion. To kick things off, I'm going to throw a joke at our financial coaches and have them introduce themselves. So, Aaron, Sam, what's Cupid's favorite band?
Oh man. So my name's Aaron. I've been with the credit union for a little over 7 years now. Been a branch manager for 2. I'm gonna say let's go with the Heartbreakers on that question.
Okay.
Hey guys, my name's Sam. I've been with BCU now for almost 5 years. I serve as a branch experience manager. And to answer your question, 9-inch nails.
Alrighty. So, if anyone in the audience wants to take a few guesses, feel free to chat them. I'm going to be sharing the answer in 3, 2, 1. It's Kiss. Cupid's favorite band is Kiss. But happy Valentine's Day to everyone celebrating tomorrow. But for the actual topic here today, breaking up with bad money habits and automating your money, I'd love to pose something very general to our coaches. So, as financial coaches, what's a move that you recommend or the most popular way that you automate your money and would recommend to folks here today?
Yeah, I think the first thing that I would recommend is getting that budget created. The worst feeling is forgetting a bill that you had due coming up, and then you run out of money beforehand. Maybe you spend it at a restaurant, or maybe you went and bought yourself some nice item at the store. Creating that budget lets you already know how much money you're going to have left. After all those bills are due, so you know what you can spend on those extracurricular activities or other items that maybe you weren't planning for.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Aaron. And then the one of the ways that I like to automate all of my money, I like to have everything charged to just a one bill pay credit card, basically. So I have all of my bills for the entire month charged to that card. I never have to worry about, am I going to overdraft my checking account because I'm using that credit line. If something changes where some bills fluctuate, your power bill fluctuates, your water bill fluctuates, and then you don't have to worry about having to go check that specific amount, make sure you've got that money in the bank, because it all just automatically goes onto that credit card. But then you also you reap the rewards of having like a cash rewards card or something like that. So you can build up that cash balance, which is, in my case, it's on demand. So you can take that money and put it right back on your bills, as a statement credit, or you can put it in your checking account as cash. But I really like to make sure that I've got all that set up so that it's just completely out of sight, out of mind. I don't know of any bill that I pay that's not automated. Literally. So it just makes everything convenient.
Yeah, totally. And reduces stress, right? You're covered. You mentioned sporadic expenses, so not being able to sort of predict. And I've heard the term trend budgeting. Do you have any other solutions apart from Autopay that you'd recommend for, sporadic expenses that you don't see coming or wrongly predicted?
Yeah, a lot of like your utility bills, like your power bill. I know in my area you can actually sign up for like an equal pay program on the power bill so that you pay an equal amount of money based off of your last 12 months of usage. So if you can set yourself up on an auto equal pay or something like that, especially on bills that in December, November, that's when it's the coldest month. Your heat's going to be more expensive, and then June, July, August, you're talking about more expensive for your electricity because you're cooling the house a lot more. But if you can get on the equal pay, you pay, $108 every single month for your power. You don't have to worry about those big fluctuations in the middle and end of every year.
Yeah. Some places I know don't actually offer bill pay. Is there any other solution that you'd recommend as alternative for not being able to use a feature as helpful as that?
Yeah, Sam kind of already mentioned it, but overdraft is a great option in case again those charges that you weren't preparing for. Overdraft will give you the ability to go ahead and take care of those bills because some of those, if you get them late, they're going to charge you an extra fee, and then you're going to have to pay even more than you were before. You could get disconnect notices, things like that. So have an overdraft protection to help you just in case of those emergencies where maybe you did forget about a bill. Not only that, but some of those expenditures that you spoke about that we weren't thinking of, those could be covered by overdraft if something was to happen. It's better than getting your bills declined because you didn't have the money in your account.
Totally. Sam, you'd mentioned this before, but Skip-a-Pay might be a solution. I'm not sure if you want to elaborate on that tool that we have actually at the credit union.
Yeah, the credit union has a super awesome feature where you can actually skip a pay on your loans in some cases where like if you need an extra $300 in your budget and you can actually skip your auto pay your auto loan payment for that month. You can do that up to 2 times per year, as long as they're not back to back and you're in good standing on your loan. So you can actually skip that payment, you can pocket that money, you can take 30 days extra to rebalance your budget or pay for an unforeseen bill that you didn't see coming, and that will also help you too because you don't have to incur any types of overdraft fees or if you go into the negative, 300 bucks, and then you say, okay, well, 300 bucks is going to come out of the next check and then the next check, and it kind of snowballs forward until you catch up. So that can instantly create a solution for you, so that you can just get back on track without having to put a whole lot of effort into catching up for months and months on end.
On
Yeah.
top of that, it's always a good idea to maybe reach out to your financial institution or wherever you may owe those bills at. It's very possible that some of those places will offer a different type of deference. Maybe you could get some sort of economic relief, or maybe they push your payment out a couple months if you're having problems, instead of just skipping it. I know BCU can possibly do that as well. So always reach out to those companies and see if they can do something for you, whether it's skipping the whole month or maybe just pushing your due date out a few weeks.
Yeah, anytime you're going to miss a payment, just let the financial institution know. Sometimes they do have those solutions available to you.
Yeah. Subscriptions comes to mind. How would you recommend folks go about managing subscriptions to maximize on savings while automating their money?
I'm a
I
bundler. I like to
highly
bundle.
recommend.
Bundling.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so bundling for me is one of the biggest ways that I have found to save, especially on subscriptions. So I bundle everything I've got through my cell phone company. So they give me like free Disney Plus, Verizon, or not Verizon, but Netflix, Hulu. All of that is inclusive in the package. You get their unlimited plan. You also get all the subscription plans. But I went and added up all the money that I saved last year, and by bundling everything together, and I also bundled my home internet too. So I went from $90 a month for like cable internet to like $25 a month, locked in for like a 10-year price guarantee. And that's real money when you start adding it up. But you add the savings from your internet in there, and you add all the savings from the bundling package that you had, and you're talking. I think I saved like $1,800 last year alone just by bundling that one bill together. So if you can spend your money smarter, that's a lot. That's a lot easier way than to go like hunt down and pay different prices for each one of these subscriptions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I was
not.
just going to mention.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to mention. Going through your statements. A lot of times we do these. Goal consultant appointments for people, and we have them do a budget, and then they find out after going through their last few months of statements that, "Oh, I didn't realize I was paying for Netflix, and I don't even use it. I didn't realize I was paying for all these different types of subscriptions, and they either forgot that they had them and they're still paying for them, or it's even possible that maybe they're paying for a higher subscription than what they need. They can always talk to those companies about lowering that service to a lower cost. Maybe it's something that saves them 10, 15, $20 a month, just to help them move forward.
One of the cool
Yeah.
things too, Aaron, is the tool that we have built into our online suite and our mobile app. It's a spending analysis tool, so it will break down what you spent every month, and it'll give it to you in like a pie chart form. It'll say, okay, you spent 40% in groceries. Sometimes in my case, it's like 50 and 60% with my family, but it'll show you exactly how you spend your money, so that you can get smarter about how you spend your money. And then within those categories, it'll break it down even further, so you can get down to like a granular level, like you're talking about, so you can see, oh wow, I've been paying for Hulu for 8 months and I haven't watched a show on there for 7 months. I watched it for that one show and forgot about it, or I did the 30-day trial and then all of a sudden I'm getting charged for it. But yeah, you can really break it down to that granular level. But knowing your finances on like a really basic level like that can really help you realize where your money's going, and help you to create those budgets so that you're not just wasting frivolous dollars on things you didn't even know you were spending it on.
Yeah. What about automation for couples? Valentine's Day is tomorrow, and thinking about all these really great solutions to do this, what are some top of mind recommendations you would give to couples working together to collaborate and automate their money as a team?
I'm gonna say, I have a wife, married, we have kids. The best thing in the world to do in that situation is definitely plan out a budget. I know we keep going back to the budget, but that's gonna save yourself a lot of headaches and troubles. Usually there's one spouse that makes more than the other, and being able to go in and say, hey, look, you make more, let's have you pay this amount towards this bill and I'll cover the rest. And really having that budgeted amount set aside for those. On top of that, I have my own bank account with my own paycheck. My wife has her own account with her paycheck. We also have a joint account where we can funnel that money into it together to pay those bills. That way it does come out of our overall, payroll. So we know it's already gone. We know it's already in this third joint account for those bills.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Me and my wife, we have everything go to one account. So we kind of pool all of our resources together because we do make very different amounts in terms of our salary. So it just makes it easier for us to just have a holistic view of, hey, this is our annual income, and then this is our monthly income as a whole, and then we can just collectively make that budget out a lot easier, just for us at least, so that we can control our expenses a lot better and kind of plan for the future.
Yeah. Auditing is huge too. Auditing as a team, sort of your own expenditures and looking through statements. How often would you recommend folks do this when they're automating money? Looking at all of the statements and ensuring that everything is accurate and they're only being charged what they should be. Because after all, professionals make mistakes too. So how do you go about recommending certain processes or ways that folks can ensure that they're only being billed accurately?
So for me, we use basically one credit card for all the auto pays, and we use one credit card for all of our purchases for the month, and it makes it easier because all of those transactions are in one spot. So I can go through and say, and start looking at, hey, did I get charged twice on this, or did I ever get that refund from Amazon for the package I sent back? It's all allocated in one spot, and it's got a search feature, so you can put in keywords, of what you want to check, which is really nice. So you can put in, Amazon returns, and it'll show you all the Amazon returns that came back. Or when you do that, for me to find everything in one spot, it's just super convenient. When I'd have to go and look at like 3 different cards or 2 or 3 different checking accounts or something like that, that's when it gets complicated for me because I'm gonna have like cross-referencing and all kinds of stuff. And that just doesn't work for me. So having everything in one spot, all those transactions of where I'm spending that money comes out of that one account, makes it super easy. It makes it easier to pay too. Most people will make a credit card payment once a month, right? But for us, we'll spend our money for the week. Okay, we spent $300 or $400 on groceries and gas and whatever. And then on Friday of that week, I'll go in and just transfer it over from the checking account, just as if I was using a debit card or something like that. That cash can it can go ahead and come out of the account, so you can go ahead and realize your actual budget for the month because you spent that money, and you can still do it on a weekly basis like that. I make 4 credit card payments a month just to keep on track, is all. But it makes it convenient.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you
Yeah.
saw, Sam, but Sweet Remission said thank you for expanding on using your card for autopay. Go ahead, Aaron.
No, thanks.
Yeah, the audit portion of that is extremely important. Personally, I've had an issue where we went to a restaurant and, let's say your bill's $50. A lot of times the restaurant runs your card for $50 and that's the pre-authorization amount on your account. What doesn't get taken into consideration until days later is the amount of the tip that you left. We've had instances in the past where, maybe we left a $20 tip and it wasn't correct. So when the charge actually cleared, it was either higher or lower than, what we were meaning to do. So, keeping those receipts and making sure, going back and making sure that all those amounts do clear for their appropriate amounts. Like Danny said, people do make mistakes. They do punch in wrong numbers. So I would hate to say, rely on the merchants to do the right thing. But sometimes it happens where they hit an extra button or They don't put the decimal in the right spot or something like that. So definitely going back through and looking at those definitely helps.
Yeah, I know. Sam,
Piggybacking off of this, I
go
was just
ahead.
going to say, piggybacking off of what Aaron was saying, you do have to keep companies accountable. So one of the ways that you can do that is using our a bill pay system like what we've got, because you can set up like you can set up, especially gyms. Gyms are the worst. That's like the one thing that I see triple bill somebody or continues to bill somebody if they get you give them your account routing information. It's like forever in their system and never goes away. But if you do a bill pay system where it's like, hey, you can have this amount of money at this time when I tell you can, it makes it a lot more. It gives you a lot more protection on your end, because I've seen, especially gyms will just like continuously charge you for months down the road, and they're fighting like disputes and all this kind of stuff. So controlling your funds with that bill pay system can be really beneficial to you in terms of protecting yourself.
Yeah, I was thinking of groceries you had mentioned earlier, Sam, and I know you've got some eaters at home, and you said, finding ways to kind of manage that foreseen expense, right, on a weekly basis. We know we have mouths to feed. How do you go about automating or foreseeing what you're going to spend on groceries on a weekly basis? And is there any solutions that you would recommend to folks here?
Yeah, when you have a bill that fluctuates a lot, I like to trend. I'm a trender, so I'll go back and I'll search Walmart purchases for the past 12 months and say, okay, in this month we've trended spending $600 a month in groceries. I got two boys at home, so they like to put it away. And when you can trend out that bill and you can kind of say, okay, I on average I spend $600. I budgeted 400 or budgeted 500 typically. Now you know where your gap is. Now you know why you're spending an extra $100 on a credit card at the end of the month, because you never want to spend more than you make or more than you're taking in. But when you realize where your gaps are, you can accommodate those in other areas. Like maybe you're more frugal with, your subscriptions. If you delete a couple of subscriptions, maybe streaming services or something like that, maybe that's your $100 that you're missing every month. Now you don't have to worry about going in the hole every month.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Aaron,
just to
would you add
piggyback
anything?
on. Yeah, I will say, with the economic the way it is, grocery carts cost a lot more than what they did, prior to COVID. Used to you could get a whole grocery cart for $200, and now you're lucky to cover the bottom of it for $100, $200. I will say, taking into consideration, off brands and different shopping centers that maybe stuff is cheaper at too. Maybe you don't need to feed your family steaks that week because something happened. Maybe your electric bill was higher, maybe the phone bill was higher. You may have to change the plans that you have for dinner. There's always cheaper options available to you. Whether again, it's an off brand, or maybe instead of doing steaks, you're having to do chicken or something like that just costs less. That's what we tend to go through. I'm like Sam. I have two kids at home too, and they like to eat. So we're always looking at maybe off brands that are just cheaper overall and can help us save some money.
Yeah, I was going to say, Sam, girls can put it away too. So,
Oh
any
yeah.
way that you can save money on the groceries is helpful. I see, gas is increasing as well. So I'm wondering, kind of switching topics there, any way to start, finding ways to save with gas on a weekly basis for those of us that are still commuting. The trade-off theory is a great recommendation, Aaron. I love trade-off, especially when you're making stuff at home with love already. So if you have the right ingredients, who cares what name brand it is, as long as it has the flavor, you should be making really delicious dishes regardless. But moving to gas, any kind of solutions or tips that you would recommend when automating your money with gas that you know is going to need to be spent?
Yeah, personally, I have an app that actually looks through all the gas stations in your area and pinpoints the cheapest one. Too many times I see people at a gas station paying, $3, $4, whatever it is, and then half a mile down the road it's even cheaper, and I always wonder why those people just didn't go there. So having an app that kind of tracks the gas prices will help you save some money too. Not only that, but maybe look at better routes to work that are less traffic or quicker. Maybe it's more of a straight line. You're not spending as much gas. My kids are always wanting to go to the mall, and we have to look at it as it does cost money just to drive to the mall. It's not even what you're going to spend there too. So always take into consideration the gas mileage of the car you're driving and how far you may be driving. That's completely out of the way. We live in rural Indiana where sometimes stuff can be far away and sometimes it can be super close. So always taking into consideration, the gas mileage of the car. Maybe your newest car isn't the best gas mileage. Take the car that's cheaper because the gas mileage is better. Anything like that, I would recommend. Just trying to plan out your routes, essentially.
Yeah. No, that's great advice.
So so for me, it's I use a grocery store that has a gas station also. So you accrue points as you buy your groceries there, which is really nice. So by the time I go through 2 weeks of groceries, that's about how often I need to get a tank of gas basically around here because I live close to work. I don't have to. We live suburbs, so we don't have to worry about driving too far to anything. But by the time I go and get gas again, I'm saving 20, 30 cent a gallon from the discount points that I got from buying all the groceries there. So if you can look for other ways to be frugal in that regard, that's a great way to do it. Look for rewards programs that are associated with gas stations. It really helps out a lot.
Totally. Foreseen expenses, right? Gas, and now I'm thinking of your home, right? So whether it's like rent or a mortgage, any thoughts that come to mind too, automating your money in these places?
I would say, in my opinion, especially when it comes to a house, the first thing I think of is homeowners insurance. You can always shop around for better rates. Maybe the company you started with isn't the best currently. You could move to a different company, save yourself some money, maybe raise your premiums. I think a car insurance too. You can always raise your premium a little bit to have a lower monthly cost. Um, Different things like that as far as house goes, and you start thinking about the electric bill. You start thinking about, do I have my house set too warm in the wintertime? Do I have it set too cold in the summertime? Trying to find a good, in between there to keep your expenses down.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, Aaron, if you can automate your home in a lot of ways, like we just got to put in a smart thermostat. So when we leave for the day, it's like, okay, there's nobody here. We don't need to heat the place. Let's drop it down to like 62 degrees. But then when it recognizes that I'm coming home, it's like, okay, Sam's 30 minutes from home. Let's go ahead and heat it back up to 72 so it's toasty warm when he gets home. So that's really cool because you can save a lot of money. Your air doesn't run the entire day basically, which can save a lot on an electric bill. I mean, and a lot of times these smart like thermostats and stuff like that, it's $100 upfront cost, but I mean the realized gain that you're going to have down the road for a whole year in terms of electricity saved is probably way more than that. And just like you were talking about, Aaron, with the insurance, I'm a huge fan of shopping around for rates. But every time your policy renews, it's always like what, $50 extra, $100 extra every single year that it renews. But yeah, I definitely like to look around at different companies because you always go to like, especially if you return to another insurance company, you get that introductory welcome back rate, which is kind of cool. But I mean, if you use the mindset of it's always been that way, I've always been with this company, you're never going to make any progress. So change it up every once in a while. Look for those companies that are going to offer you those new customer discounts, or look for companies that are going to reward you for doing business with them. Because at one company, your dollar might go this far, but at another company, that same dollar may be way more than just a dollar over there. So think about where you're at. Are you with the most expensive insurance companies? How can you save money in that regard? Because I mean, I'll be honest, I bounce around insurance companies like every 2 years, just because you restart at the bottom of their pricing pyramid again, before it starts incrementally going up. But it's hundreds of bucks cheaper by the time I change after 2 years.
Yeah, that's great advice. I'm thinking of more seasonal stuff here too, that we could look ahead to automate. I know for folks with kids like Aaron and Sam, spring break is right around the corner. Managing whether it be right a babysitter or one-on-one time with your children. Also back to school right around the corner. I know anyone else looking forward to spring where we don't have to use all the energy in the home and we get to open the windows and enjoy the fresh air. Anything that comes to mind with sort of, child expenses and anything that we know is foreseen that you need to plan for, we need to anticipate, that you'd recommend to people?
Well, summer always brings, summer camps, summer daycare, and it's always like exponentially more expensive to get through those 3 months, with childcare. So, having we always had a plan in place where we always had a go to, daycare provider that we always had a negotiated rate with.
Mhm.
So having that ahead of time is really good. I don't know, some people choose a new daycare, a new camp, or something like that each summer. So those can get expensive when your demand is high and the supply is low. That's when you start really shelling out the dollars to put, kids in day camps and stuff like that. So we will we kind of strategize that well in advance so that we don't have to worry about it when the time comes.
Yeah,
Aaron.
I've been pretty lucky. We usually work out scenarios with family members that can watch our kids. My mother-in-law works at a school, so during spring break, she's off. She watches the kids. It's great. Same thing during the summer. So, there may always be family members that would be willing to watch your kids, and if you have to pay them because they have to take some time away from work or something, guarantee you it's still going to be much cheaper than going through a daycare or a camp, things like that.
Yeah.
One thing we do too is we'll go through and plan our vacations for the entire year, like like a year in advance. So we usually typically do like Airbnb or VRBO or something like that. But if you look early enough, you have full selection of whatever is out there, all the cheap ones too, right? Because I say cheap. I guess I should use the word frugal. I'm a very frugal person. But you can have a full selection of all of those vacation places that you may want to go to, and you can pay in advance on them. So if you've got the budget now from like a tax return or some savings now, you can go ahead and put that, pay half of it now or pay it in full even if you can. But that helps us with our vacation budget every year by going ahead and prepaying those and setting them in place almost a year in advance.
Yeah.
And you
Budgeting
you
is
do bring
key.
up a good point. You do bring up a good point, Sam. We have, it is tax return season, and usually with that is also bonus season. A lot of people get bonuses if depending on where they work. Um, Too many people, get those bonuses or get those tax returns, and they're just going and buying TVs or video game consoles and not really thinking about what they could be doing to help better their financial situation going forward. Is
Hmm.
having a new TV nice? Yes, it's great. But would you rather, get that $100, $200 bill off your back, pay down your credit cards, anything like that that can possibly help you? Because if you think about it, you can get rid of those bills and then buy your TV with your own money that you saved, as opposed to spending that money that you got to help you with those bills.
Yeah, that's a
Totally.
really good point too. We Most of us get our annual incentives, our annual raises, that kind of thing around this time of year. And something that we've put in place for the last couple of years is that anytime we get an annual increase or something like that, whatever that percentage is, we will add that to our auto, transfer for each month, and so that money gets transferred directly over to savings. You just maintain your same standard of living. You don't get bougie or anything like that and spend a bunch of money on TVs but it helps you because by the 2 or 3 years of incentives, or annual raises or anything like that, is going over to that savings account. So it really helps you build that backup fund so that when something does happen that you're not, haven't accommodated in your budget, you can say, hey, we've got this savings plan over here that we put in place to, back us up when all of a sudden you need a new tire or something like that.
Yep. Planning for the unexpected, super important. Sam, you had said VRBO, and I'm like, it's either that or Verbo always. I feel like some people either call it this or that. I want to touch on one more topic before we get to questions. I see we have a few here in the chat. Automating money for kids. As parents, what are some small tips you would give to parents teaching their children how to automate their money at an early age? Anything you're doing that you would recommend to folks here online now?
Yeah, my kids are basic kids. They get some money for their birthday or something, and they want to go spend it. And then they go to the store and they find this toy they want, and they don't have enough money to buy it. And I say, look, put that money back, put it back in your bank at home, piggy bank, purse, whatever it is you may have. You're gonna have another birthday. You're gonna have Christmas. You're gonna have other holidays where you're gonna earn some more money to add to that. That way, you can get that toy or whatever it is that you may want. A lot of kids nowadays like, oh well, I can't get that toy, so I'll find something cheaper and still spend every penny I had. Just trying to get the kids to understand that if they save it, they're going to have more money to buy an even better toy, an even more expensive item that they may want. On top of that, though, when my kids have birthdays, they get money, and we try to take some of it and put in like a rainy day account with BCU to help that money kind of grow instead of just sit there and get spent, at the grocery store.
My kids like, well, we've got a savings account set up for each of them, and whenever they get birthday money, Christmas money, anything like that, we put it in there, but we make it like an exciting deal. Like, hey, we're going to go to the bank. They come up to the ATM with me. We put the cash in the ATM. They think it's super cool. They get to push all the buttons on, all that kind of stuff. But then we go home, and I show them our bank accounts, and I'll show them, hey, this is mom and dad's bank account here. This is yours below, and they feel like they're adults, like a 5-year-old adult sitting there, like, yeah, see my balance is actually bigger than yours right now. But now they get excited about it, and then when you're 5 and 8, you don't really exactly know how much $200 is, right? So I equate $200. I'm like, you know what? They're into Pokemon cards right now, so I'm like, that's like 40,000 Pokemon cards, okay? And they're like, okay, I'm rich. Totally cool. Don't worry about it. We'll retire on that, okay?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
I think too, getting them to understand that, having some money saved up is more important than having those material items that, my kids are pretty bad about buying a toy. 3 months down the road, it's tore to pieces, it's in the trash can, or they don't touch it anymore. And I'm like, look, you just spent that $40 on this toy that you don't even play with anymore. If you would have saved that money, you could have got something even better that, they may have still not have played with it, but they could have got something more expensive that would have been more of what they wanted. Could have lasted longer because, usually the more expensive the toy is, the more sturdy or durable it is. But yeah, just getting them to understand, a little bit of, the savings that you have built up is going to go farther for you in the future than having those material toys right now that aren't going to last very long.
Yeah, hear that. Great advice. Thank you both. So let's get to the chat. Looks like Sweet Remission has asked us a question. Last 5 years, housing income has decreased in caring for an elderly family member. Checks seem to disappear faster. So is budgeting the best way? Suggestions.
Yeah, living within your means is going to be the most important thing you can do, especially if you're on a limited budget. So finding out, and you may have to make changes in your lives if you're in a home maybe you're buying too much home, maybe you have too much car. You can find ways to live less but still live the same. You need a car to get you to work every day. Maybe you don't need the Land Rover, but you can get by with a Honda Civic. When you have situations like that, living within your means is going to be the most important thing you can do, and spending what you've got. But you can also look at other programs too that, maybe there are outreach programs, or maybe, you can find, different, even like food shelters. I see churches that we have up here all the time with lines outside of them, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just, it's just what you've got to do to survive. And, regular people, next door neighbors are up there, getting some canned food for the week. That is the way it is. But living within your means and finding ways to survive with your budget that you have now is going to be the most important thing I think you could do.
Yeah, I agree. That's what we're here for. We have goal consultants that can help you with budget. If that's something you're interested in, that's literally our whole point of being able to help people is to get you in a better situation that makes you feel better about, the money you have, the money you're spending, gets that stress off your back of not having enough to get to the next day. And like Sam said, it may be a lifestyle change. It more often than not, whenever we have these budget conversations, we go through people's statements, and, while $5 at Starbucks today and then tomorrow and then the next day, $5 at a time doesn't seem like a lot. But after a week, a month, 6 months, a year, that adds up to quite a bit of money. So it may be more of a, hey, let's stop going to Starbucks. Let's go to the store and buy our own coffee and save ourselves a lot of money by making it at home. Maybe stop eating out as much if you eat out. And there's quite a few things that you can cut out of your daily life that can save you some money. And I would always recommend, like I said, going to your statements and finding those things, because you'd be surprised by how much you're spending on certain things that you just never thought of. Like I said, that money adds up after a while.
And to piggyback off Aaron, that's exactly what, like you said, we're here for that. So these conversations that we have with you, and they can be as short as 10 minutes. We can have a 10-minute conversation with you and really gain an understanding of where your money's going, show you ways to save money easily, and really find those holes in your budget where, it's just kind of like bleeding out, so that you can, put that Band-Aid on it, and make sure that doesn't happen going forward. But the conversations can be super short, and you get so much out of your experience with a financial goal consultant like us. for the time that you put in. So if you take advantage of it, I can guarantee you'll be shocked probably in the first conversation at the seeing the light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to your finances.
Yeah, sweet remission. I'd also like to add that 88% of folks who meet with a Life Money U financial coach, just like Aaron and Sam, leave feeling inspired or motivated about their money. So definitely recommend that you make that first appointment and see how it goes. We have another chat here. Let's see, finances for the faithful. Any quick tips on earning more income in an area I have more control over than my day job? I've worked with a coach and it's super helpful. So, any quick tips on earning more income in an area I have more control over than my day job?
Is that in like regards to like an additional job or?
I'm not sure.
Maybe follow-up question?
Maybe Finances for the Faithful could elaborate any quick tips on earning more income in an area I have more control over than my job. So I would say yes, this would probably be some hobby or a passion area that you'd like to make money in. So how would you recommend someone goes about doing that effectively?
I love my wife owns a small business, so you got to find that niche in your market in terms of being able to find an outlet to sell your product, sell your service. So if it's a product you're selling, you can get on places like Etsy or something like that if you're trying to sell a product or if you're trying to earn that extra income. I used to, when I was a kid in college, I used to flip stuff on eBay all the time. So, I mean, it just depends on what you are, what you're selling. Is it a service? Is it a product? And finding that outlet where you can create that income source effectively. Because, I mean, Facebook Marketplace is good, but then you're going to reach a much bigger audience on something like Etsy or eBay or something like that.
I'd say spammers are very prevalent too on Facebook Marketplace. Ensure that you're checking out. A lot of people, you'll see the date their created account is. And 2024, be cautious. You need to understand that reputation is key on Facebook just as it is anywhere else. So if someone's reaching out for those new shoes that are too big for you and their account is created in 2024, nothing against anyone who's just hopping on the Facebook bandwagon, but it's okay to be critical in these instances because there's lots of times people are trying to get, more out of you. And it's not fair. So be critical, be vigilant. Aaron, I'm not sure if you have anything to add on the side hustle topic as well.
Yeah, I was just going to add, maybe reading that question a slightly different way. If you're at your job and you just don't feel like you're making enough money, you can always go to HR and maybe see if you're in a salary range for your job. Most companies have a range that is set for your job within your state's, cost of living. The worst the company's going to say is no, sorry, we can't give you a raise. But at least you did your due diligence to try and see if you could get more of an income to better your life. So while it's not a great conversation, a lot of people don't like having that conversation and asking for more money. It's for you to better your life, and if you feel like you deserve that, then by all means, definitely go talk to somebody and say, hey, I feel like I deserve more than what you're giving me based on XYZ. Definitely have those conversations.
Totally. It's a great recommendation. Side hustle I'd recommend. I'm a seasonal clothes wearer, so there's a lot of things that go out of style quick, and I love to thrift. So giving to people always feels better than throwing out anything, but if you can even resale some of your nice items, I know Posh Marketplace is one of many. There's lots of apps you could go to, but you take a picture of your used goods and someone might need it or want it and will pay good money for it. So being able to repurpose things that are no longer giving you the joy that they once did might bring someone else that much more joy. So one other idea, but having a side hustle in general, especially if your job isn't fulfilling your passion, is uber important and can make you some good money. We have about 5 minutes left here in the chat. Sam, Aaron, any last minute thoughts as we wrap up our live event, our first ever live event?
I would just like to say, a lot of people don't understand or don't realize, that they have to be members to take these benefits, like a financial coach, a goal consultant with us. You don't have to be a member in order to schedule one of those and have a good conversation with us. Does it make it easier to look at your financial thing if your main checking account is with us? Yes, but we're here to help you regardless if you bank with us or not. So by all means, definitely think about scheduling that appointment, having that first consultation. hopefully we can talk you into, moving over and banking with us. We have great rates, great checking account interest rates, things like that may actually benefit you. A lot of times people are at a bank where their money's sitting in an account doing nothing, not earning anything, just sitting there. By all means, you could, chat with one of us, bring your money over, maybe earn some money. Um, you know, Obviously earning money is going to help you, with your daily life. If the more money you can earn or make, the less we're having this conversation, right? As where somebody's struggling. So, by all means, set up those appointments and definitely, reach out to one of us and see how we can help you.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off what Aaron was saying, I in my career I've managed two of the biggest national banks that there are, and I did that for collectively like 7 or 8 years before I came here. And when you go from those retail banks, your typical corporate banks, and you come over to the credit union side, the grass is so much greener over here. Like when I got to BCU, I was shocked, and I'm still shocked almost 5 years later. With like, wow, we do that for the member. I mean, what place can you go to and do a skip a pay, or what place can you go to and do a rate modification because your credit score has gone up? Your credit score went from a 650 to a 750, and you're like, hey, I qualify for a better rate. Can I have it? And we're like, yeah, sure, no problem. Here you go. You qualify for this rate now going forward. And we grow with you. We grow with your finances. We grow with you as you grow financially, in terms of like your credit score and being financially successful. So having that credit union in your corner, because I mean, we're your financial advocate. We don't want you to be in debt. But if you have to be in debt, we want you to be in debt the right way. And that's by paying your bills the most efficient way, getting your dollar to go the furthest that it can possibly go. And that's what we do, is we take care of you financially by helping you create those strategies so that you can be financially independent, financially successful, that way that, your tomorrow is brighter than today.
Oh, I love that, Sam. Thank you, Aaron. And we hope everyone here enjoyed our conversation. No more chats have come through, so I'm going to close us up. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. There will be more content, future events. And if you haven't already, subscribe to lifemoneyu.com. Schedule time with that Life Money U financial coach, just like Aaron and Sam, to lead you through our process and help you create a financial plan that fits your goals. If you have any more questions, the chat's open. If not, feel free to email info@lifemoneyu.com and we'll be in touch with you. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and we hope to see you at the next one. Bye.
See you guys.